Hey everyone, back for this exciting online session. We're two tables left in this 525 KO on GG. One of the best tournaments daily that runs, just gets a lot of runners and a lot of recreationals, a lot of fun players, and got some other sweats as well. Gonna pull up shortly, I think, and on the bubble of this 150 bounty. Super easy opening king 5-0, covering both players. You know, they both have a lot of pressure on them to make the money, but there is quote unquote bounty protection at the same time on GG. So not like I can go nuts. Or did I say bounty? Bubble protection, where you keep your buy-in if you end up bubbling, so significantly less pressure if they did pre-reg. Just gonna throw out a small c bet, hope to take it down against some air or some like under pairs. Not gonna barrel the turn without any equity, and just gonna hope to win on this river, but looks like he just has an ace or a jack for the most part. Ace 10 suited. I think I'd prefer a 3-bet at this depth. I think going linear for the most part is going to be good. But call is of course fine. You know, don't want to get 4-bet. Opening 8-5-0 here. 3x. I would like to see a little larger from the open. Just taking the pot down more often on average is going to suit me well. And yeah, I don't cover him by that much. So I think mostly limping this hand is going to be best anyways. But throw in the raise and get it through. Yeah, easy fold, ace 10, nothing going for us. Ace 7, definitely going to be too loose to 3-bet here. Alright, covering both the big blind and the button. Think it's an okay open. Don't love it. But it looks like I'm pretty close to chip leader in the tournament. So actually I think it's good. We can see the small blind is the chip leader with 1.4 million, and we have around that. So yeah, looks like we're now chip leader when we win that pot, so that's nice. And just happy to check fold here with ace 8. Once in a while getting to showdown, beating king jack, king queen, ace 5 and stuff, but not gonna want to c-bet and then blow a pot out of position, so checking to fold just gonna be the standard play there. And okay, bottom right, we're now pulling up a 630 with registration closed and somewhat nearing the money, but I think pretty far off. I think there's 83 players left and 45 paid, and we're short stacked. Funny little spot because the guy's checking back on a range bet board on the flop, so I don't know who you're tricking, but I'm not falling for it. Queen 10 suited. Seems pretty loose to c-bet on the flop. No backdoors. Not like terrible, but small blind's range is pretty tight, and yeah, I would want a little more playability. Now when the big blind blocks on the turn. I want to play a heavy call. It's super nice to have a jack on the river in the spot when, both players can still have a 10. Small blind check calls like a 10-9 suited type of hand, or the big blind is leading with like an 8-10, and then we just cooler their face off. On top of that, there's two flush draws out there, and I have neither. So if I'm raising a draw here, it's going to be one that's able to raise call it off. And yeah, raising like ace-10 or a queen-10, an ace-6 suited, it doesn't seem great. It seems like it's forcing it. So yeah, I just want to play a very heavy call in this spot. Easy shove for 7 bigs with 9-8 offsuit. And get lucky there. Here, once he checks, yeah, I don't think shoving makes that much sense. We wouldn't be repping much, but as is, I can still have a king. Not never checking a king on the flop, like a king 10 or a king jack. And then can also have ace 10. I can have ace 6 suited. I can have ace, maybe like ace of hearts jack. And then of course I can have ace x of spades or ace x of hearts. So yeah, plenty of value in the spot, but shoving definitely wouldn't have made that much sense. All right, ace jack suited, button versus under the gun 1. I would tend to think this is a pure call, just one of those hands that does not want to get all the money in, wants to keep in their portion of hands that is, dominated by our own hand. And yeah, just super playable in position. The interesting thing about these spots on GG is that there's this final table rollback. So you end up going from, I'm like 28 to, or right around 30 bigs. So like if I make the final table, I jump up to around 50 bigs probably. So there's this like ICM factor in that aspect of like, if I do make the final table, I'm deeper and therefore have a higher win rate. So I'm at this stage like very incentivized to actually like stall and like, make the final table, which kind of changes the dynamic a little bit. When it is a bounty, it's, of course more top heavy, because when you win the tournament outright, you win a lot more than the other players. But yeah, still incentivized to try and play like fairly straightforward and make the FT. Shove king 10 suited under the gun 1, which is essentially under the gun. I think it's fine if yeah, I guess like the short stack who's all in automatically has such little chips that it doesn't affect my decision at all, and I'm essentially under the gun 7. So I think it's going to be a fine shove. Just one of those hands that really doesn't want to raise and then get shoved on and have to fold out its equity. And yeah, going to do okay against calling ranges. Not great, but okay. Easy overfold with queen 7 here, even versus the single open. I would just muck it, much for that reason of wanting to make that final table, and of course there already being ICM and pay jumps looming ahead of us. So like dragging over this this nut straight that I flopped, because that's always fun. The ace-9 suited, around 22 bigs effective. Really premium flat, usually in this spot. I think I'm not folding out a better hand. Ace 10 plus is calling, and just similar concept of that ace jack suited. I just want to keep in weaker hands. His king 9-0, his suited nines, jack 9, 10-9. And just gotta fold. If I had a backdoor flush draw, I think it would be fine to peel off one card. And we get paid. Check calling down with ace high. No good, sir. Ace 10-0. I think I prefer to shove here. I guess I figured that my hand is strong enough to raise call against the small blind, but I still don't want him to shove like king 9 suited and king jack O and pocket threes and fours and hands that would otherwise fold. And I covered the big blind, so the big blind having 16 bigs and I'm 20 effective with the small blind. I'm actually shoving around, I'm shoving an average of 18 big blinds. The ante's still pretty big, so we are six-handed. Yeah, that would usually affect things, but the ante is quite large on GG. So yeah, totally on board with an open shove here, but I think inducing is going to also be okay. One thing I would not like is raise folding here. If I'm raise folding against the small blind, then I just for sure have to open shove. Just giving up too much equity by raise folding. And now if the big blind shoves, I'm gonna go with it. I think it's like a very easy spot to shove any ace, and he can be shoving, some other king queens, king 10 suiteds, and queen jack suiteds, low pairs and stuff. These situations I tend to play a pure check. I'm sure I'm not sure, but I would think that's what theory would call for. I would just really hate to get check raised with this hand class, and more than happy to realize equity, get to turns and, can turn really strong hands, run out flushes. Now he blocks. Similar concept. It's like, if I raise here, well, what are we going to do if we get jammed on? So I think really just forced into a call in this situation. If we were deeper, 50 effective or something, I think raising would definitely be reasonable. And now interesting river. It's going to get really tough once he starts betting large. I would tend to fold. And against this size, just a really easy call. Hoping to see like king queen, king 10, maybe like king 6 suited that's overvaluing its hand, or some random bluff 7-8 suited, 10-8 suited perhaps. And we see two pairs. Unfortunate. I like his decision there to block. I don't think his hand is worth that much anymore on this run out. It's of course strong on the flop, but then we get a turn, or he gets a turn where I can have flushes, and then we get to a river where I can have ace 9, I can have ace jack, I could have perhaps like aces that check the flop. So I think blocking is good. He secures value a lot more often than if he were to bet 350k, then I would feel like very inclined to fold everything that's like not two pair. So yeah, good sizing by him. All right, ace 9-0. I think in a normal tournament, like non-bounty, raise folding is going to be the standard play, but considering people will chase bounties wider, their calling range becomes weaker, and ace 9-0 rapidly moves up in value, I think. If the big blind's calling like ace 6 suited, whereas he normally wouldn't, or he's calling like a king jack O where he normally wouldn't, like ace 9-0 is just going to generally be doing a lot better. And the other side of it is like if I do raise, I risk getting shoved on by a weaker hand than mine that would have folded. So I don't want to do that. I want to just clean up my equity, and if we get it all in and lose, just going to live with it. At 15 bigs, I would definitely raise fold. I think 12 and a half, just too few chips. And pretty sweet flop, beating tons of hands here. Just gotta hold, and we do. Easy call, bottom right. Can't see what he has, but button shoving, just like 6-7 bigs effective with the blinds. All right, little heater right after doubling up, we pick up ace queen O, able to raise, call the cutoff, and the big blind super comfortably. Got to throw out the emote. Shout out to my brothers and sisters in Armenia and Artsakh, those who are, fighting the good fight. Couldn't win this one though. All right, easy all in here. Sucks to immediately chip back down after doubling up, but of course, super fortunate to still be all in, or still be in. We are all in though, all in with the ace king, which looks like an amazing spot. Queen 10-0 on the cutoff. A little too many chips to get it in, so just happy to raise fold this one. And then easy range bet board, just disconnected. 4 in the deuce, not good for the big blind at all. And yeah, just having the nut advantage here, overall equity advantage. King 7 suited looks like reasonable one to raise fold. Seems perhaps too good to open fold and a bit too weak to shove. King 9 suited out shove, and then King 8 suited is close. We flop a flush draw. Let's see what I decide on the flop. Similar board to that Jack 4 deuce, but a little better for the big blind here. Gonna be more straight draws. Gonna end up having more pairs on the 8 as the middle card opposed to 4. And yeah, looks like a middling size I go with. I think that makes sense. I want to play like a 2-street game here. So, having, let's say I have Jack 10-0 or Queen 10-0, I have an overpair. I want to be betting the flop and then shoving the turn before the board is like changing too much, especially a hand like jacks, especially a hand like queens. And then I can match that with my good draws. If I have, let's say, Jack 9 suited, if I have a club draw like this one, then I just have easy decisions. I don't want to be playing like a 3-street game. There's like not really hands I want to be doing that with. I think the strongest hands that would want to like stretch out the SPR would probably want to just check. You know, pocket tens, aces, kings with a club will, you know, I either go for the overpairs at least, like tens I'm always going to check. Like if I have aces or kings, then I either want to do this, bet flop and then shove turn, or I want to check back. I think I should actually be stalling here. Yeah, this is like a fairly big mistake by me to not be stalling. Not for the pay jumps, not for the reason of pay jumps, just, you know, considering that rollback, getting to the FT and going from 13 to 20 or 13 to 18 or 13 to 25, because it varies, it's not always the same, is just so important. And awesome spot to actually get to the FT here, but we see ace king and ace king take down fives. All right, so now I guess I realize it. Like, hey, I should be stalling. Easy shove with sevens, nothing else to do. Just king 10. Yeah, it seems okay. I think I would want to check a lot on this board. Not too much going for me, but c-bet's going to be fine as well. Ace 2 suited seems, you know, again, similar to that king 7, little too weak to shove and a little too good to open fold. Really nice to take that one down, especially considering a hand just doesn't play that well. King 4, yeah, definitely want to fold this. We got Steven with 4 bigs, and then we got the other guy with 6 bigs, so very, very likely to FT at this point. And we just need to lose one player to get all in. I mean, lose one player to be 10-handed and then, you know, be hand for hand and no longer have to stall. Queen Jack O under the gun 7. Gonna be one of those opens that's it's a little easy to overdo this kind of hand if I'm autopiloting, just because of my aggressive tendencies. Now we get a monotone turn, which is interesting. I think our bluffs come from straight draws in these spots. You want outs against a 2-pair type hand, against, you know, an ace X hand. I choose on a really small size. I don't love this. I think going something closer to third pot would be more appropriate. Just going to be too easy for him to continue like an ace 7, you know, an ace 10. Whereas if I bet 60K, he's a lot more likely to fold. Also, SPR wise, reaching the SPR of around 1 is just better overall, I think. But perhaps I have some plans on the river. 8 sucks, gives him a lot of, not a lot, but like more snap calls. And I just decide on giving up, and had we shoved, probably get it through. Once again, snap fold. Yeah, I think just lack of presence, or maybe after seeing Steven Chu double up, I was less inclined to be stalling and decide like I'm gonna be playing for the win. I mean, stacks are not that crazily you know, dispersed in terms of I am 7-11, but I do have a real shot at winning. So while stalling and making the FT is good, I also have to consider the times that I like double up and then the blinds are on average higher because I didn't that sorry, they're on average lower because I didn't stall and therefore played more hands and my edge is higher. But back to stalling. So again, maybe it was just a lapse in presence. And Stephen Chu doubles again. All right, easy defend Jack 10. Flopping middle pair, no backdoor. Nice to get in some extra stall time on the flop. And super easy c-bet for in positions range. Ooh, Stephen Chu can't find the third double. Interesting spot. I think having a lead in a non-ICM scenario is going to be more appropriate than here. Not entirely sure, but yeah, I just have such a strong hand here. Even securing one more little bluff from him is very significant for my stack. And it just looks pretty damn strong to lead here given the circumstances. So yeah, happy to check and let him keep betting. And now think checking would be a really big mistake, and I think blocking doesn't make that much sense. I wouldn't block a 3 in the spot. I would just check and try to win. And then a king I would think is worth more than a block. I guess a weak king, king 5, king 2, those could block, but like, yeah, I think I mostly just want a big bet with my range or give up or check rather. Now we're at the FT, let's go. So that there's a 5-minute delay, but we'll just see if we have any other hands on the other tables. Opening Jack 8 suited in the cutoff, off around 15. Seems all right, and then c-betting with our combo draw also seems okay. Could start with a check and not be forced to play for all the chips, but just fine to try and see 5 cards. And super tilting hand to see. We're gonna end up losing to a better jack high, but that will happen. This is the type of players you will see on like GG that you will not see on American facing sites, peeling Jack 9-0 and going after your bounty really wide. I mean, I had a starting bounty as well, so it's not like my bounty is worth much anyways. All right, 10-5 suited against a long-time good regular. Just going to check call the flop. If I had a better flush draw, king high flush draw, for instance, check raising would be better. And now we turn a combo draw. It's going to be an interesting spot if he bets. In these situations, you want to check jam the draws that don't have showdown value and be check calling the draws that do. So a king 9 of hearts here would just call, or maybe that's not the best example, but like king jack of hearts, because it still has showdown. A 3x of hearts, a 4x of hearts, those would also just check call. you're not really accomplishing anything by check jamming except like pushing equity. And then, the most premium hand I would think to shove here is the 6-5 of hearts in terms of your draws. Just, having 6 high, you're out of position. Yes, you have a lot of outs, but if you brick the river, you're just going to have to check and lose. So yeah, you want to just pick up that fold equity. He can still be bet folding a queen jack O, or a king 9 suited or a jack 9 suited type hand. So yeah, just gonna shove, hopefully get a fold. And we do not. We get snaps, but we get lucky. So we essentially would have been out of the tournament had we not gotten there. Another interesting thing about GG, just a really unique site, is that you get to choose your seats. Not too much you can do. It goes in order of how many chips you have. So chip leader gets to pick last, which incentivizes someone to even more to be chip leading heading into the FT. But yeah, not like that important of a decision for me, because I have still 4 or 5 players behind me, so I'm still gonna get moved out of whatever seat I get to choose anyways. So yeah, just want to try to move out of the big blind essentially, and choosing this spot 2 over seems to be like a pretty reasonable decision. All right, starting off hot, getting 10s against this guy we've identified to be pretty loose. Middle paired board, I believe these spots get bet for like a large-ish size when out of position. Not that interested in him continuing like an ace jack of hearts or like a king queen of hearts, and I can still get value out of plenty hands, ace 7 suited, 8-7 suited type hands, under pairs, ace queen of diamonds, ace 10 of diamonds, those kind of hands. But just don't want to give him too good of a price. And we'll take that. Don't mind just winning the pot outright. King 2. I think in theory this will probably be a low frequency 3-bet. Just don't think it's that necessary. I'm in a pretty good position. This is a soft final table, so I'm happy to just let him win and move on. Jack 10, definitely too loose to peel. Great hand to raise it up, blind on blind. Unblocking a lot of the middle portion of hands like 7-6-0, 7-5-0, and having a face card is nice. All right, this is I think this is a kind of open that I would not make in a regular tournament, but in a bounty tournament where chipping up, covering people, being able to win the tournament and win a lot of bounty money in the process is, more reason to open. Open jacks, small blind peels off around 6 big blinds, which might look a little funky, but, if he has a hand like 10-9 suited or, King 7 suited, Jack 9 suited, where he's got playability and he has like very easy decisions, it's like very reasonable. He just, if he flops a pair, he goes with it, and yeah, he's not gonna have ace-x, so I essentially have the nuts on this board. around the best hand he's gonna have is like king 8 suited or like 10-8 suited. And he turns a lot of outs, but we hold. And this is a pretty big tournament here too. It was a 630 100K, but we got looks like more than double that in the prize pool, with around 43,000 for first. We'll see our first all-in on the final table. And barring a 7, we're gonna have a page in. Always exciting to find ladders early on. Guess pulling up, dragging over another that was on my other screen because I have a nutted hand and knew I was recording. Really small turn size, don't love that. Could go, definitely go larger. Or check. All right, king 7 versus earlier positions definitely would fold or consider folding, but versus the button definitely going to be a fine defend. And obviously I have to check folds. All right, bottom pair versus the cutoff. Just going to be a call, especially with the king as my second card. Would want him to, barrel on a king turn, so wouldn't want to check raise and make like king 9 fold. And just have to let go on the jack of spades. Definitely not a great situation. And yeah, it looks like 45 paid, so we're 12 off the money there and in a pretty good spot with like 25 bigs. Easy shove with big blind having 11.5 and yeah, not like he's gonna super overfold, but he certainly has to play tighter being 12 off the money. Looks like he wasn't stalling. So like, yeah, we shove and he snap folds off this short stack, which I would think really wants to be stalling at this stage. So that's a consideration. It definitely hurts our shove there, but still think it's going to be shove nonetheless. All right, king jack O here folds to us. We're just going to have an easy just call. And wow, really big pot here. So yeah, Win is just a maniac, putting in 5s for like infinite, trying to scoop up some bounties. And super cooler for mashallah, really unlucky. But lucky, I guess lucky for him, he was not covered by the aces. Ace 9-0 here, 6 off the money. I have 23 bigs, and it looks like the big blind has 25 bigs. I think an open is pretty good. If the average stack behind was bigger, I wouldn't like it, because then people can confidently 3-bet me and put me in a tough spot. But yeah, both the button and the big blind just don't cover me by that much, and then I'm covering both the small blind and the hijack. End up getting shoved on, which is unfortunate, but yeah, fine with trying to chip up and not risk too much in the process. And now I'm starting to stall because, I only have 20 bigs and we're 6 off the money. And it's pretty important for me to get into the money with this stack and at this stage. Looks like the min cash is around 2.25x the buy-in. And yeah, you always want to consider how big is the min cash, how many players are left, or how likely am I to win the tournament if I take this action, or if I stall, or if I try to chip up now. Typically, the more players in the tournament, the more you want to stall to get the cash, because then you're further from the FT and therefore further from actually having a chance to win the tournament. Here, super nice to be covering the big blind, considering he has a 2.5k bounty. Opening low jack off 17. I'm not really going to have an open shove range here. I might shove an ace queen, ace king in a bounty, but yeah, when I cover the big blind, I think I just want to open those. So yeah, that will wrap it up for today. Thanks again for watching.